Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yeah, it's going. It's peaking.
Cool.
I don't want
Who's
to
it's recording already?
Yeah, it's recording.
Wow.
Where are you going to put this?
In the bin.
Wow.
His Instagram.
Instagram.
Right.
Instagram Reels. Yeah.
This is Joe painfully going through, explaining the basics they should have learned weeks ago. And it's in Python rather than the proper language. So, obviously at the bottom of the code, it runs this. Okay? But create a new instance of breakthrough, therefore this constructor will be executed. Okay. Within that, we've got construction of 3 card collections and 1 lock. Let's go and have a look at this. Therefore, this will get executed in the card collection. Quick look at what card collection the rest of it contains. Load of getters and setters. Shuffle, which is just a swap. That's a classic swap. Okay. This obviously is exactly the same as if it was a bubble sort, this swap, or another type of sort. So it's probably worth you knowing why I need to go thingy to temp, thingy to thingy, temp to thingy. Okay. If you don't, I'll pause this and explain it. So, do either of you know?
I think I know.
Go on.
Shall I explain?
Go on.
So it sets value 10 cards. It sets one of them to 10 cards. And while that's happening, it sets the one that just got placed into 10 cards. It kind of makes the other one become the other one. And then
Right, this is bollocks. So I'm just going to say. So, if Tom and Toby were to swap places, if it was computing world, if I go over here, Tom sits on Toby's knee, but your value is still on this chair, isn't it? So you now exist in 2 places. If I move position 1 to position 2, you're here and you're there. Matrix style, you turn into Tom. Okay? I now have 2 Toms and no Tobys. This is not a good situation. So in actual fact what happens is, I move you to here, the spare chair. Yeah. This is not going to make sense in the video, is it?
No, please.
So you're going to move to there, and then you can move to there.
that's what I said.
I'm pretty sure that's not what you said, but anyway.
No, I said one of them goes temporarily to 10 cards.
If I didn't use temp, then it would get overwritten. Fine. Anyway, basically, it swaps it 10,000 times randomly. Why 10,000, I don't know. Did I say to everyone else? I said to the VBers, I reckon there's another possible question where you have a thing which says, how shuffled are the cards?
Well, that would be really difficult, though.
No, because you've got an index. The cards are given an index for where their initial position is, like the wabbits.
Oh, okay.
Do you remember rabbits had a wabbit number?
Oh, that was awful.
Removes, quite interesting, we'll come back to that in a minute. That's irrelevant. We'll come back to that in a minute. So, that's card collection in a nutshell. Could easily have...
Sorry.
Go on.
Journals.
You're on
So
video,
that's
by the way.
what get card number at is for. You have to mathematically do it.
That gets run 4 times. Gets passed a parameter. Let's just make sure we understand that. Oh look, it gets passed n. N sets name. So there's actually a name of the card collection, an identifier, that we set at creation. I wouldn't have done it like this. Don't need to do that. Why didn't I just create... I mean, I don't know why. Well, I do know why. Because it means... I mean, I've got the names here. But it means that you can have code which knows what you are. So if I had a question which said, create another card collection, let's say a pile of, I don't know, something else, it'd be relatively easy for you to do. That happens 4 times, bomb, 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 bomb. Same thing happens, okay? Few normal variables, then we've got lock. Current lock gets set to type lock. Okay. It doesn't say new lock. Well, okay, it's annoying. In VB it doesn't, but it doesn't really matter because look, this just creates a property of with an empty list. Okay. In VB that gets set there, so it doesn't need to be instantiated. But doesn't really matter. Just so we can see locks. You remember locks with 3 or more challenges? Okay, so I've got basically all of this is just the stuff to do with that. It's a relatively small class, nothing that fancy in it. Most of it's just here's a challenge, FB or whatever it is, and you either have or haven't met it. And that's that bit now run. Right, now we're going to play game. This is actually obviously the meat of it. So executes this method. So we just come back down here and you can see that's a right path. All right. Got to set it today is the first gist. Sorry. At the end of this, we run this load locks, which actually grabs the locks from the file. Okay. As long as we've got some locks, it will run the setup game. And after I've done the setup game, I'll stop. Hopefully you remember that you've got a choice of either loading a game, or crucially, creating a standard deck. That's what we're going to look at. Create a standard deck. Basically hard-coded. We've got 5 each of these, 3 each of these. Bish bash bosh. Each one goes add card to deck. Let's look at what that is. Add card is. It's in the card collection. Oh, almost completely pointless because there was actually a function to do this already built into Python, but we've got a wrapper for it so that we go append the card that you've just been passed to the deck. Does that make sense? We could have done it to hand or we could have done it to whatever, but we're doing it to. So I have to go back up here. Do ask questions. Everyone happy? Just almost hard-coded. Stick the set values into the deck.
If we were to add a new card, would you go to that? And then just literally just hard code the new?
If it only if it needs to be added to a standard deck.
Okay.
Okay. But that would be a crucial thing. If you've got a new a new card.
Where else could it go if it wasn't a standard deck? So do you know anywhere else that it could be asked?
If they said only gets put in after you've got the first met the first lot.
Okay.
Yeah. But ultimately, that method of just going deck.addCard and then the thing you're adding with you creating the card here, if it is a tool card, you mean a new card, a new tool card, or do you mean a new type of card?
Type of card.
Like if it's a new type of card, then you'd have to base it on card, create this bit, and then you'd have to have card is equals new, whatever type of card you've got, pass the parameters in, and then add it. Right. Done shuffle. Then, for 5 cards, we move a card from the deck to the hand. And it's this one you get. So we pass it the whole of the deck, the whole of the hand, and then we say which card it is. If it was me, I would just say which card it is. But no, that would be easy. So what we're actually going to do is refer to the deck, and we're going to get a particular card number. This looks to me, at first glance, oh look, that's an array index 0. Oh no. This is a function, and that's a parameter. It's parameter 0. If I click on it, I go to this function, that's the parameter. It then refers to the 0th index of cards. Oh, you're just going to get the card at this point? No! Why would you do that? Getting the card would make some form of sense. What we're going to do is we're going to use an accessor method, a getter, to get a card number. What's this card number you speak of, Joe? Well, if we go cards, get card number, and for some reason it's not letting me click on it anymore, it's lost the will to live. So we'll have to go to cards, get card number. Cards, card. There we go. Card, get card number. It returns the card number for that particular card. What is the card number here, I ask? When you create the card, a card number is created and it's just incremented. I'll say this to all of you. Do you all understand card numbers? It is identical to Wabbit numbers in Warren's.
Oh right, okay, see.
So, do you remember that we had like 50 rabbits? When a rabbit first got created, it got given a rabbit ID.
It's basically doing the same for a card.
It is, but at least with the rabbits it made sense because rabbits could move about. With this thing,
It's probably because
I haven't quite worked out why you're doing this, but I understand to give something an ID, but call it card number is really annoying. So really card number is the index it was created at.
So it should really be called card index.
I would have called it card index. But it's not the array index, it's the index, sorry, it's the number, it's at what position it was created.
Okay.
Because if you can see, this is just incremented by 1 each
Yeah.
time. So, we get that 0th number, pass it back here, cards, so card of whatever we're on, and this is always a 0, so the 0th card, I'm going to get the current card number. Don't forget they've been shuffled. So if we didn't shuffle it, the 0th card would be card 0. But now it's not card 0, it's card 27. Who cares what it is? So we go back again. And we realise that we're going to pass the number 27, which happens to belong to the card at index 0. Stay with me, Tom. Go on.
What? You said again.
So,
Is it basically
rather than saying, I want card, I want the card in the 0th element of the array,
Yeah.
what I'm actually going to do is say, can you tell me what the index, like the ID number of the card ID would be a better name rather than card index. I want to know what the ID number is of the card in the 0th element of the cards array in the card collection.
Isn't that 0?
No, it would be 0 if I hadn't shuffled the cards.
But surely that new 0 is now the
Don't call me sure. What?
Is it finding the position? Would that give
No, it's not finding the position. We know the position.
So if
We're telling it the position.
Oh, okay, that's fine then.
Why isn't it called get card number? Oh, right. Okay.
Surely the
I'll
0
get it.
card number at 0 is 0.
No.
No.
No, that's just the bottom card. The first
Yeah,
card
the
that
shuffle
created.
it.
Oh, what, so every individual card has a
Because
big
it's
set?
basically
Yeah,
Yes,
it
so
has an ID. It has an ID.
So
So-
the ID isn't in order for one to, it's just a complete shuffle.
It was originally,
And then you shuffle it.
and then we shuffled it.
So
it's like a
27
card.
one.
It's like a deck of cards. You shuffle it, and there will be a different one.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
But imagine if on the back of the cards,
Yeah.
your real deck of cards, you write 1, 2, make poker less interesting, 3, 4, 5, so they're all numbered.
Should we help?
So the ace of spades is 1. The 2 of spades is 2.
3.
3 of spades is, you get them. I then shuffle them. I then have them in a pile. I then say, what's the number of the bottom card? Oh, it's number 40.
Alright, so the card number is in the order.
So return to number 40. But wait, Joe. Why were we doing this in the first place? Oh, that's right, because we're going to try and move the fetching card. So I won't point to the screen. Let's go to move card and see what it does with this number. So okay, that's fine. I've got deck. What was I doing again? No, I haven't. Yeah, deck, hand, number 27. Who knows what it is? But whatever the number of the card was at elephant 0.
Why are you moving the card?
What?
Why are you moving the card?
Just
Because I'm now dealing with the hand,
Oh, right, okay.
going from the deck to the hand. Yeah?
Yeah.
Sorry, I've made an assumption, I'm so sorry. I've assumed you had at least a passing knowledge of the game, Tom.
there's a
Correct.
Joe, can I
video
go
of
for
the
like
guy
one?
playing.
Yeah.
There's a deck. You get 5 cards. You play the cards, and you can get more cards as well.
That makes it like, yeah. I have actually.
Anyway, if it happens to be a hand to a sequence, we do it here. Otherwise, we do this.
Quick question: Does collection mean the deck? Is collection the deck? What's the from collection to collection? What is that? The deck of the hand?
Yeah.
From
So
deck to
that. So if we go back one, bonk. So that is the whole deck and the whole hand.
So collection is deck and hand.
No.
No, that's what it's called in.
So the from collection is deck.
Yeah.
The to collection is hand. These are just the parameters. I could call this banana and
Yeah.
apple.
Yeah.
But it'd be really stupid. So then we've got the card ID, we'll call it, card number. It's not this, so we can ignore it. So it's this. So card to move, from the deck, we remove it. As long as we've got something, we add it to the to collection.
Which is your hand.
In this case is my hand. But it could be anything. It could be the discard pile. But in this case, so this is a generic function that could be used for anything. Or could be used for any moving of cards. In fact, this would be, I can't think why, but the idea that you would go, oh, in the situation where you move it from the something to something else, add a weird thing to happen, this is where you would do it. But crucially, it does this by card number. So if we go to remove, it's not playing game, it's not playing, is it? We're in card collection. So if we go to remove card, it's the card identifier it needs. So it actually whizzes through the whole of the array and until it finds the card with that identifier, even though we know where it is, it's in 0th index, and it removes it.
So other like deck and hand, is that just a long list array of cards, numbers?
Yeah, I mean, look, you can see, if I go to card collection, I give it its name, and then it's just an array of cards. But okay, so it's just flitting about. It's just, even if it only takes you a few days, you forget exactly, because there's so many bits and bobs. You've got to be practiced in this to know where everything is, because it's not picking obvious. It's not actually badly written, but because there's got these weird convoluted things, we're constantly using the card identifiers, the card number. It's like you're flitting backwards and forwards. And there's a lot of stuff where you go down the classes, then back up them, which I'm not a huge fan of, but fine. Right, we've now added the standard cards to the deck. No, we haven't. We've now taken the standard cards out of the deck to my hand. We now add the difficulty cards, it's the same thing. And then we're going to shuffle the deck. So we shuffle the deck every single time after. So we've shuffled it and then we shuffle it again. Does that make sense? I'll add difficulty card. We'll have a quick look at it. It's fairly obvious. So we've got deck, add card, but this time we add a difficulty card. Does that make sense? And then we set the current lock to be a random lock. So that's what that means.
Oh, I know what you mean.
And that's probably where I'll stop, because that encompasses all of the structures within the game. We haven't really looked at locks and challenges, but crucially, it means if you've done that, you should be able to understand how these card collections work, and moving between card collections is basically how the game operates. Okay. So, if you've been able to follow that video after the fact, you're probably a better person than the three monkeys I've got in front of you.